Hello everyone, it's 26 Bond, it's Rob from the UK, and as promised last night with a rather scary reminder or trailer video, this is another death metal update. You might hear some music playing in the background. I'll give you a heads up on what this is. Nothing at the minute, but what we are playing between the breaks in the songs is this. This is a classic repress of Necromantia from Greece. This is their debut from '93, I think, this one. Originally on Osmos Records. This is Crossing the Fiery Path. And this one comes on a really beautiful sort of blue splatter vinyl. The original's very hard to come by and obviously very expensive, and this one's a little bit cheaper. Now I think they only made these in limited quantities, so if you do want one, it's going to be a eBay job, because it's going to be like a second-hand deal, which you're going to have to do to get hold of this. But it's got a great cover. It's one of the great black metal covers. I mean, it's just fantastic. So there you go. That's what we're listening to at the minute. These guys are famous because they use bass guitars for their songs. They don't use 6 strings. They use like 4 and 8 string bass guitars. So really worth picking up if you can get your hands on that one. But if you can get an original pressing, more power to you. Just a couple of things I picked up recently. This was going so cheap I had to get it. This is a near mint copy of Eaten Back to Life from, is it 89 this one? I think it was 89 this was made. Or maybe, was it 90? Oh, I can't remember now, but there you go. This is a really good condition copy on Earache Records. This is one's made in France. You always know somebody's looked after it well when they've actually got the record in one of those to preserve the life of the lyric bag, which always tends to get a bit stained and torn, but this one's in pretty good condition. There are a couple of marks on it, but other than that, it's a pretty good copy. I'm pretty happy with it, to be honest with you. The record plays great, it's nice and smooth playing. Look at that, good bit of luster there. There you go, you can see me filming it. Look, it's looking at me, looking at you. So yeah, I mean, this is real classic Cannibal Corpse. This is when Corpse were obviously in their formative years. This is their debut album, produced by Scott Burns at Horror Sound Studios in Tampa, Florida. And this, up until The Bleeding, really is, for me, the era of Cannibal Corpse. If you look at the reissue, Matt Bass points this out a lot, is that the logo changed. So this is the original logo, which in my opinion is much better. So yeah, I think the first 4 albums are certainly the best. I don't mind Corpse Grinder's vocals. I just don't think the songs are as good. Certainly lyrically they toned down a lot when Barnes left. He was definitely a better lyric writer. But there you go, there's that album there. Classic tracks on here. Put Them to Death. Ball in a Casket, of course, Bloody Chunks. There are some backing vocals from the guys from Incubus and Deicide on here as well. So, classic of death metal if you want to get into Cannibal Corpse. This is a bit more thrash orientated, but very good and highly recommended by me. Okay, we're going to look at some. What have we got to show you today? I'll show you this first. We're going to be looking at a lot of the a bit of a synopsis today on the Earache FDR releases. So I've got most of them. I just wanted to show you those. This was this isn't necessarily one of their FDR campaigns. This was their Kickstarter, their first Kickstarter campaign. This is Nocturnus' second album. This is Thresholds, which is really good actually. I got mine on purple vinyl. You could get a clear vinyl signed, like a Die Hard version, which was a lot of money. This was like a middling sort of vinyl, this one. This is on purple vinyl, which I think actually goes really well with the cover design. Inner sleeve, nice and glossy. I believe this was as the original album was laid out. It's like a transparent purple. Can you see gaps through my top? No, probably not on there. But there you go, it's lovely. Nice labels. Songs on the other side. Obviously it's not as famous as The Key, which actually I hope they do an FDR release of as well, because that's one of my favourite DM albums. But there's actually some good moments on this one. It's got a good cover. Once again, it's very sci-fi orientated. Now this one I don't believe you can get anymore. This was part of their Kickstarter campaign, and I think they only produced how many which were sold, which I think was probably about 1,000 in total. I could be wrong with that, but so you would be looking at the second-hand market to pick this one up. What I have noticed since these FDR releases have come out is that second-hand sales on eBay of a lot of these records really seem to have come down in price, which I'm sure pisses off collectors greatly, but for the common man on the street who wants to get into bands like these and actually manage to hear these and own these on vinyl, it can only be really a good thing for the market. Certainly keeps prices a little bit more sensible. Of course, you're always going to get people that want to only own the first press, because generally they do sound better. I can understand that, but these I can recommend. They do sound good, they've been lovingly made, and they do look cool. They do look very cool. Okay, another one I picked up from the FDR range was Fourth Crusade by Bolt Thrower, which was their fourth album. I'll show you this one here. It's classic Bolt Thrower. I mean, they don't really change from album to album, although I would say their debut in Battle There Is No Law was quite punky for me. It's quite chaotic. This one's a little bit more controlled. There you go, so it's got a nice illustration there. These FDR releases always come in colours, or you can just get the basic black version if you want. For this one I got, I think this was Knights Templar something or other. But this is one of my favourite vinyls, this one. It just looks awesome. There you go there. And Necromancer are now laughing at me, which is very unkind of them. There you go, so that's a really good record. Once again, the sound on all of these I'm going to show you here is excellent. FDR stands for Full Dynamic Range. A lot of the older vinyl reissues that Earache did were mastered from the CDs, and the mastered from the 2000 versions of the CDs, which were what's called brickwalled, which is basically when all the frequencies are sort of turned to 10 and it's really, really loud and everything comes at you very, very quickly. With these, it's been mastered so that it's not as loud, it's quieter, but you can actually hear the separation a lot better between the instruments and all the different tracks used to record the instruments. So for a listening experience, they think that you should be in control of the volume, not the actual CD or record. So that's the idea behind it, and I think generally it works very, very well. The Fourth Crusade, one to get hold of if you're a big Bolt Thrower fan. This is Carcass. This is their fourth record and their real breakthrough album. This is Heartwork. This is when all the lyrics were really, really toned down, and I think they started chasing the bucks a bit more. Geiger artwork. It's a lot more streamlined, this one. Once again, it came on all sorts of different vinyls. Good tracks on it. It's not my favourite Carcass album. My favourite by far is Symphonies of Sickness, which I think I'll show you in a second. But there you go. It's on a nice green vinyl. There we go. And it's, you know, it's a very clean sounding record. It's still very, very heavy. The riffs are good. It's slightly, to my ears anyway, and my ears are to be disagreed with, but it sounds a lot more heavy metal to me than death metal. And Swan Song, they did an FDR reissue of that, and I wasn't even going to bother buying that because I didn't like it at all. My opinion, you can be a hardcore collector and collect a band, but if the album's shit, it doesn't interest me at all. So, in my opinion, it was crap. So I wasn't going to bother with that one, but I'm sure a lot of people who are very completist about their collecting will buy it. But there you go, Heartwork by Carcass. Necroticism Descanting the Insalubrious, their third record. This is a bit more like it. This is a bit more old school Carcass. It has the recordings of the TV programmes about mortuary technicians talking between the tracks, and it's got a really sort of eerie feel to the whole record. What colour did I get this one on, guys? Let's have a look. Ah, a nice blue. Ice Vein Blue. It wasn't called that, but maybe it should have been. But there you go. Very nice, and it's got the original packaging. Now, sadly, it didn't include, and I think this is a missed trick from Earache, and I remember telling them this, and I think they listened to me. and I'll explain why in a minute. But they actually didn't include the limited edition postcards which were on the first press, which were basically outtake shots of the 4 pictures featured on the cover. Now what they did on later issues such as Warmaster, I'll show you in a minute, but later issues like Warmaster by Bolt Thrower, they do include the lyric insert sheet, so I think they were listening. So Earache, if you ever make any more of these which came with insert sheets or anything like that, posters or anything, remember to do it because that captures the spirit of the release so much. This is a great record. If you don't own this one, get it because it's just a fantastic record. Great riffs, great vocals, slightly more. It's certainly downplayed a bit more in the lyrics. It's nowhere near as extreme as the first 2 records, but it's still got a real feel to it. And there we go, and a very, very eerie sort of back cover of a morgue. So there you go, bit of Carcass. Get it into your collection. You owe it to yourselves. Let's do the rest of Carcass while we're on them. This is my favourite album. This is Symphonies of Sickness. And when I got this years and years and years ago, I always stare at this cover and go, what the bloody hell is it? And if you look, it's a very, very black and white monochromed pixelated cover of a head which has been shot. There you go, that's the right way up. So you can't really tell, it looks more like a mountain. I used to think, why Carcass put a picture of a mountain with snow on the top, on the front of their album? That doesn't fit in with the concept. But there you go, that's what it is. This is a great record. The riffs are fantastic. It's gory as sin. This was an album when I was young when I got this, which generally frightened the life out of me. It's got the original Gore cover inside with the lyrics. And generally, yeah, this was probably the last record that I didn't almost want to play. Because looking at the pictures, this is a yellow, putrid flesh yellow, I think this was called. It actually frightened me. It was a little bit close to the bone. It was almost a little bit too real. And this is where bands started to put real photos on their records as opposed to fantasy artwork. And I must have been, how old was I in 88 when this came? Was this 88? It was 89. I was 12. So as you can imagine, a 12-year-old kid who's very used to Show No Mercy by Slayer and Eddie and Iron Maiden, and all of a sudden I'm seeing pictures of people with their heads blown off. It's quite a jump. So yeah, it did frighten me. A lot of older metal fans got frightened by Venom, and when you think of that now, it's a bit, oh really? But this was I guess the nearest thing to that. But there you go, Symphonies of Sickness. If you like gory death metal in the lines of Exhumed or Impetigo or anyone like that, Repulsion, get this, it's brilliant. And this is the absolute ultimate in gore covers. This is their first album, Recaputrefaction. Won't show it too much. There you go. This is on Vomited Orange vibe. There you go, so it's like that. The inner sleeve is just the same as the original pressing, lyrics on the side, and sort of like a photograph that Nupa cut out collage of morbid and macabre goings on in the world. This one I don't really know too much. The production's terrible, things are very messy, and it's quite hard to listen to. It's very chaotic, it's quite hard to know what's going on, but it's good to own. It's where Carcass really started. It's certainly, without them, wouldn't have made Symphonies of Sickness. Symphonies of Sickness, this style perfected. Then with necrotism artwork, then moved on to something slightly different. This one's quite hard to get now. There's only 100 of these. I got the first Iris colour, which was featuring slime green. I always stick with the colour on the. I think that's part of the pack. This is N2 Sweden, 89 left-hand path. Get it, all I can say. If you get one Swedish album, guess it's amazing. Carnage Recollections, which is another great one. This is absolutely identical to the original, and there you go, a lovely lime green transparent vinyl with the original Earache on it. This is just a great record. If you're into Swedish death metal, I recommend you get this album. Carnage, I recommend you get Early Unleashed into Glory Right, and get the book by Earache Records Swedish Metal, because it's all you need to know, and it's great.
It's got a lot about the emo bands that didn't make it, quite as these guys, and lots of other things. So get this album. Really hard to find now. This was about 15 scenes, maybe perhaps 17, 15 when I got it at the Earache. But to try and find an original